Hello, and welcome to the Collier Library's video instruction. In this video, we will be talking about peer review. What is peer review? Peer review is the process by which a piece of work, usually a scholarly article, is examined and reviewed by other experts in that field. The point of peer review is to ensure that published works have undergone a rigorous review and contain valid information, original research, and are of a high standard. They also consider whether the information included can successfully substantiate the research. Peer review is generally embedded into the publication process of most academic journals. Peer-reviewed articles are considered a strong reference for your research because they've been closely scrutinized by other scholars in that field. How does the peer review process work? An author submits their research article to an academic journal. The editor at that journal assembles a team of expert scholars in that field to review that article on a range of different criteria. Those scholars examine the article based on that criteria. They deliver their comments to the editor, who then decides upon those comments and recommendations whether to accept, reject, or send the article back to the original author for revisions. If changes to the article were suggested, they may be conveyed to the original author so that they can update their manuscript accordingly and resubmit to the journal. The reviewers are usually anonymous to decrease the chance of outside influences or factors impacting their review or comments on the work. What are the peer reviewers looking for in the proposed article? They're examining the contents for any potential biases from the researcher or the methodology. They're examining the article for accuracy of information. They're checking whether the methods and results can be reproduced by other scholars if they were to conduct the same experiment with the same time frame, otherwise known as reproducibility. They're examining the article for originality. Are the ideas presented in the article new and interesting? This ties into the final criteria they also consider: significance. Does this article bring something new to the field? Does it bring a new approach? Does it bring new content? Does it bring a new methodology to consider? Reviewers take into consideration all of these criteria when they examine an article and send their comments back to the editor of that journal. How can I identify whether an article has been peer-reviewed? There are a couple different ways you can do this. You can check the journal that the article was published in for mentions of peer review as part of their publication process. You may also be able to tell if an article is peer-reviewed by closely examining key indicators within the article itself. Let's take a look at both of these methods in practice. When you're searching for articles for your research, most academic databases now have a search limiter for peer-reviewed research. It can come in a couple different forms, so keep an eye out for a range of alternative ways to describe peer review. In UNA's Discovery platform, you can see here on the left, we have a limiter called Scholarly, Peer-Reviewed in parentheses, Journals. If we limit to this, the results will only comprise of research published in a scholarly journal. This is a good way to quickly narrow down your results to scholarly research, but the database may not always be accurate. Let's take a closer look at this article. Using the library's record, you can click on this link to the American Historical Review's record. While the record itself will have a lot of valuable information, what we need to do is visit the journal's website itself to get a look at their publication process. This is the website for the American Historical Review. When you visit a journal's website where the article was published, look for details about their publication process or guidelines for authors. This could be under an About section, but it's more likely to be under a section titled Submit, in which there are author guidelines. There are several links here for documents related to the publication process. You'll note that there's a section here called Reviews Guide. This page clearly provides details about the reviewer process for the American Historical Review. When you find a page like this for a journal, you can reasonably trust that the article has been peer-reviewed. Let's take a closer look at the full text version of this article. One key indicator of a scholarly article is to check whether the author's affiliations are listed in our accredited universities or research institutions. You'll notice at the top where the authors are listed for the article, there are numbers next to their names. This usually indicates that there's an affiliation list somewhere on the first page. You'll notice at the bottom we have a small section here that does demonstrate the university affiliations of the researchers who published this article. In a scholarly article, there is usually an abstract posted on the front page. Is the language of the article technical or scholarly in tone? Look at the structure of the article. Is there a section providing background or a literature review on the topic? Is there a section that describes the methods the researchers used to conduct the experiment? Is there data or charts associated with the article? Does the article discuss the study's results? Is there a section that addresses potential biases or issues with the paper? Is there a discussion session to carefully describe and examine the results? Do they have a section that discusses their conclusions, as well as any potential limitations or recommendations for future study on this topic? Finally, is there a reference list that cites all of the research the article itself references? No single answer can fully resolve the question of whether this article has been peer-reviewed. However, the combination of many or all of them can substantiate the article's information, source, and credibility. To wrap up, does peer review guarantee the information is correct, accurate, or without flaws? No. This is because the reviewers, while they are experts, are not infallible. There is a possibility that they will miss flaws in the article or the research. Common potential issues include misreported data, inaccurate methodology, and unforeseen biases. Peer review does, however, provide an expert review, which lends rigor and credibility to the publication process, which substantiates the published research itself. If you need help getting started with your research, schedule a consultation with a librarian today. We'll help you narrow your topic, find resources, and cite your materials. You can schedule an appointment online at our website at una.edu/library.